Let's begin by telling you that a fresh women-led procession broke out in Port Harcourt on Monday, with marchers voicing support for President Bola Tinubu's declaration of a state emergency in Rivers State. Chanting slogans and carrying placards, the women described the move as essential to restoring order. Some demonstrators also called for the sole administrator to oversee the state until 2027. The procession underscores deepening divisions amid the political crisis in Rivers following the suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara and rising tensions within the PDP.
We are out today to tell the world there is peace in Rivers State. The joy and the peace we have been praying for is now. We want to tell God thank you for answering our prayer as Rivers women, and we want to congratulate the sole administrator for anchoring peace in Rivers State. We want to tell him thank you. I also tell the president thank you for bringing him to Rivers State. As you can see, Rivers women are out. They are putting on white. White signifies peace. There is peace in the state. There is peace in the state. We are out dancing for peace. We can sleep with our two eyes closed. Rivers State women are happy. We are women with integrity. We are not women that go on the streets to naked. We are Rivers women that have values. We have respect for ourselves. We are telling our president thank you for bringing back peace to Rivers State, bringing back peace to Rivers State, and giving us all our heart desire. We are happy.
But a separate group of women in faraway Oho Ada, the East local government area of the state, also took to the streets to declare support for Governor Fubara. Now, while those clamoring support for the sole administrator and state of emergency were given protection by the Nigeria police, their counterparts protesting against the emergency rule and for the reinstatement of the suspended governor were harassed and tear-gassed by the police. In the meantime, the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi, is set to defend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the Supreme Court against a challenge brought by 11 PDP governors. The governors are contesting Tinubu's declaration of a state of emergency in Rivers State and his suspension of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, arguing that both actions violate constitutional provisions. Amid the intensifying legal drama, former governor of Bayelsa, Sidiaka Dixon, has also praised Fubara for his composure in the face of crisis. Meanwhile, Niger Delta leader, government Ekpe Mopolo, popularly known as Tompolo, has spoken out for the first time, assuring that Fubara will eventually return to office. As both camps gear up for crucial hearings, the fate of Rivers State remains uncertain, hanging on the outcomes of what could be landmark judicial decisions. Joining us now for more details on this, we're joined by Charles Jaja, who's an activist based in Port Harcourt, and he joins us now for more insights. Charles, many thanks for doing this with us. Let's just get started because we're pressed for time. For the first time, we're seeing that the emergency rule also has numbers backing it. Is this the case? Would you say that there are backing or something fishy is at play here?
Rest, of course, well, we know that this emergency rule is not something that just happened. It was a well-thought-out plan. You know, before now, there's a member of the All Progressive Congress in Rivers State here by name Chief Tony Okocha, who is also an appointee of Mr. President, who have been calling on Mr. President to declare state of emergency in Rivers State before this action was taken. Because if you look at it, we are not in the face of war in Rivers State. Rivers State is very peaceful. Even the sole administrator who was asked to come and take charge here, you know, actually also aligned himself by saying that the state was very peaceful. And since he came in, he can't say there has been any sort of war in Rivers State. All we have been seeing so far have been people condemning what has happened in Rivers State. And of course, recently, the NBA, which was supposed to have their conference here in Rivers State, decided to move the conference from here to Enugu, citing the illegality and the unconstitutionality that was meted and the assault on our constitution. Because for them, they saw it as a rape of democracy and something that has not, something that cannot stand, the test of time. And they decided to say, no, we cannot support this unconstitutionality. And as legal professionals, of course, you know that it's a body that is saddled with a lot of responsibility of the Nigerian lawyers, and they cannot also associate themselves with illegality that is now playing out in Rivers State. We've seen a sort of protest, from different groups of persons in Rivers State here, for and against. But of course, one has to question, the protests that are all coming out from and some of the porters. I saw a group of people today who are dressed on white and white in River State by women. Ages are saying that they are having a counter protest to what was done last week Monday in River State for those who are calling for the return of Governor Smalaye Fobara and the legislative arm of government to River State. And then you find another group of people who say they are supporting the emergency rule here in River State, and they are saying that they are apolitical. But it's not true, because the leader of that delegation, Nimi Aguma, who is former commissioner under Nyesom Wike, is a complete close associate of Wike. And we have also seen that even in the appointment of the sole administrator at local government level, which the sole administrator did, which we also saw as an affront to our constitution and rape on our democracy, has a lot of loyalists to former Governor Nyesom Wike, being on that list. And even a cousin of his is also a professor, and one other person, I think, a former rector of Port Harcourt Polytechnic, who's also a close associate of former Governor Wike, are also on the list. And so if the sole administrator say his assignment in River State was to bring about peace and mediate in what is happening in River State, we've not seen that so far, because we have seen partisan, and in the level and way or manner that he's going so far suggests to us that he's here acting out a script that was given to him to act out from the presidency.
The women are even the women that we see there in white. They're saying they don't mind the sole administrator staying in office till 2027. Is this demand realistic?
Of course, that shows you that they are sponsored. Of course, if you can help, because no reasonable person who wants another person. I'm a Rivers son, and I cannot, try to look at some other person coming from an alien who is coming from another place to govern a state, and democracy already is being threatened here, because you see that people never elected him. We don't know him. He just came in here, under the orders of Mr. President, and he said he was asked to come and create peace, broker peace in the state. But so far, we have not seen any move like that, because somebody who wants to create peace or coming on board, one of the things he would have done is to assess the traditional ruler council, try to get the warring factions together and see how he can broker peace. But so far, we've not seen. But what we have just seen is that, it's him trying to tell on the line of those who are loyal to Governor Nyesom Wike, and has not also called on the Fobara's clique or whatever thing you may want to call it, to say, okay, I was given a template to come here to broker peace, amongst you people here, but you have to come, so that let us know how we start on this, and then get the traditional ruler involved in creating and breaking out those peace. But what we have seen so far is that he's dismantling, even though the bodies that are statutorily, tenured, he has come to disorganize the whole thing, remove them from office, and this way, even people who were screened by the Martins and May-led administration, whose tenure are still running. And at the moment they have been dissolved, everything is being removed, and you are coming here, he said, for 6 months. No, now then, with you looking at all these things, it shows you that now that they are calling, give him more tenure and all these things, it's all a plan. It's a well thought out plan, to set the templates. Like I said, we've had issue of state of emergency being advanced by Chief Tony Okocha in the past, asking Mr. President to call for a state of emergency in the place and all, and today's state of emergency has happened. And now you are now seeing another group of persons who are now coming on the streets, who have been sponsored. Because as far as I'm concerned, you cannot have a people who legitimately said they want something to be done rightly. Why can't they call for the reinstatement of the assembly members who are supporters of theirs, because the assembly members are loyal to Governor Nyesom Wike? So why not do you say, okay, bring back our assembly members, bring back the governor, and let them broker peace and all? But yet you are saying that you are satisfied with a government that is illegal, as far as I'm concerned, because the Rivers people never voted them in the first place and to start with. And so why would you call for extension of such? And of course, when you start seeing certain things of this nature happening, you should know that there's somebody somewhere drumming for them.
Well, I must say thank you. I cannot affirm what you said, but your submission is insightful. That's where I'll leave it at. I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us, just giving us a bit of insight on Rivers Matter. We move on swiftly, but still on the Rivers Matters, as sea piracy and kidnappings along River State waterways have become an issue of great concern to many residents. The latest incident was the hijack of a 6-passenger boat along the Port Harcourt sea route, which has caused undue pain to many families. News Central's correspondent Biola Festus has been tracking some of the affected persons and brings us their stories. Take a look.
Sorry, selling.
Baby Selin, just 1 year and 4 days old, is restless and unaware of the turmoil surrounding her. Her father, a victim of sea piracy, was kidnapped a day before her first birthday, leaving her family in distress.
That is going to come back.
Sophia, her mother, has been comfortless herself. The whereabouts of her newlywed husband has been unknown for days. Overwhelmed by emotion, Sophia tells me that she has no idea how to cope with her schooling and caring for her toddler all by herself.
I'm just a young girl. We just got married on Vincent and it just...
The boat operator who was conveying Sophia's husband and 5 other passengers from Wile to Port Harcourt narrates how the incident unfolded.
I was coming from Wile down to Port Harcourt. So after when I crossed the New Calabar River, I saw 200 horsepower with armed personnel. They now divert our boat back to the creek where they came out from. They started collecting our phones and our money, all our belongings, then started beating some of us. One elderly woman asked one of the sea pirates that if I'm your mother, is that way you are going to treat me? So they have that little conscience on her. So they didn't touch her, they didn't collect anything from her.
Wile, the capital of Degema, an island local government area in Rivers State, has only one way in and one way out of the council. And sadly, the singular means of transportation, which is by sea, has become one of no return for many. The story of Sophia is a sad reality that many coastal communities have had to deal with for decades.
With our wealth, Nigeria is what it is today. But when come to us, we are suffering. Our waterways are not safe.
The insecurity situation is one too many, and it's worrisome. When you enter boat to go, there is that apprehension. You are always afraid. That is the level everybody is at now.
These wives, whose husbands were victims of the deteriorating security conditions across Nigeria, look through the windows every day, hoping for the return of their husbands. They call on the government and security operatives to ensure the release of their spouses from their captors.
I was calling his line. His number does not go. So the next thing I heard, they have carried them. Coming from Bile to Port Harcourt is no longer safe.
I don't get anybody, na him be my father, na him be everything to me. I no go fit carry am. I get plenty children with am. I no go fit carry. Mona waka anywhere I want go find her, come give me. Mona find her, come give me.
The uncertainty about the conditions of their husbands is even more troubling as they are yet to be contacted by the abductors.
Up till now, we've not heard from them. They did not even call, no information. Government, please help us.
Owing to the security challenge on the waterways, these people now have to choose between risking their lives to travel home or remaining in the capital city, Port Harcourt.
My uncle is among those that were kidnapped, so it's not a funny thing. I'm supposed to travel today, but I cannot travel because when you're traveling to your community, you'll be looking at your left and right. You cannot even breathe. You cannot be okay because you're scared. I want to travel, but because of the way the river is, I can't travel because of what is happening in the river.
For those involved in boat transportation, piracy and kidnapping on the waterways mean bad business for them.
I have lost one of my boats to the sea pirates, which cost me more than 6 million naira. Their operation is getting out of hand, and we want the federal government to do something about it.
Our passengers are no more safe, even the drivers and even on our boat. So as we are going, we only move with fear. We ask God to protect us down to Bile.
Although The state and local government authorities have at various occasions announced the provision of patrol boats on the waterways. Those plying them say security is inadequate to guarantee safe travels.
Is it possible for us to go to Bile with you today?
If you want to go to Bile, there must be arrangements, because we cannot take responsibility of people that are just coming, strangers and visitors. So if we have to go to Bile, we have to make arrangements. We have to make arrangements for security.
The brutal truth is that locals in these coastal areas have no choice but to brave the dangers on the waterways, despite the risk of attacks and kidnappings. With no alternative routes or transportation options, they must rely on boats to travel to their destinations, making them vulnerable to the threats that come with it. In Port Harcourt for News Central, Biola Festus.
You're watching News Now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, as insecurity in Borno State intensifies, Senator Ndume raises alarm over renewed Boko Haram attacks. We will bring you the details of this and more just after the break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. Confirmed reports from Bassa local government area of Plateau State indicates that over 40 people have been killed in separate attacks on Ziki and Kimankpa communities in the Kwali district of Irigwe Chief Don. Now, details remain sketchy as attempts by News Central's Chizobanyo to verify the incidents have so far been unsuccessful, with no official response from relevant authorities. However, our crew in the state capital is actively working to gather more information on the cause of the midnight attacks. Still talking insecurity, Senator Ali Ndume has raised concerns over a resurgence of Boko Haram attacks in Borno State, saying more than 300 people have been killed in 252 incidents over the past 6 months. Addressing journalists in Abuja, Ndume said the worsening security situation prompted Governor Babangana Zulum to lead a delegation to the military high command. The team met with senior defense officials, including the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa. Ndume disclosed that 3 local government areas, Gudumbali, Marte, and Abadam, I beg your pardon, are currently under Boko Haram control, with movement between local locations restricted after 6 p.m. While commending the military efforts, Ndume stressed that troops are overstretched and urgently need better training, equipment, and motivation to counter the growing insurgency effectively. And off to the northwest, where the Kano state government says that it has arrested over 500 suspected criminals allegedly engaged in a variety of crime, including phone snatching, armed robbery, burglary, among others. Now, this was as senior officials of the state government, representatives of its Peace and Security Committee, and the State Police Commissioner met with traditional leaders in the state, warning them against being complicit in promoting insecurity. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu tells us more.
The Kano State Security Committee, also known as the State Task Force for Peace and Youth Rehabilitation, during its recent inauguration by the State Governor Abba Kabir Yusuf. The mandate of the task force is to rid the state of violent crimes such as drug abuse, phone snatching, armed robbery, and others. As the committee conversed in the state capital with stakeholders to give an update on its operations since its inauguration, representatives of the committee say that over 500 suspected criminals have been arrested within the last 60 days. They called for more support from traditional rulers in the state. The state government, while raising an alarm over the activities of saboteurs within the state responsible for frustrating the efforts of security operatives and serving as informants to criminal elements, warned that the activities will no longer be tolerated.
Hukumomin tsaro musamman na 'yan sanda kullum kiran su kenan. Tsaro ba su ne da damarar su tsaro ba. Sai al'umma na gurare sun yunkura da kansu sun yadda za su goya musu baya sannan za a samu tsaro irin wanda ake bukata.
We are tracking. As from the yesterday night, we have arrested more than 500 people, suspected criminals. Some of them are murderers, some are drug dealers, and some of them are pawn snatchers. And we are doing it wonderfully. And in this committee, I forget to mention even the judiciary who provide the mobile court. So we are doing everything within the confinement and the framework of the legal system. If we have drug cases, then we refer it after arrest to the NDLE. If we have a treasury or robbery, then we refer it to the either police. If we have something to investigate, then we lie with the police department of SIV and the DSS.
The State Police Commissioner Ibrahim Bakuri says that he is aware of the efforts of the committee and expressed optimism that its proposed partnership with traditional rulers will improve its operations.
Mengos at the grassroots, at the one living with the community, the grassroots community. That's the basis of community-based policing, and that's the vision and mission of Inspector General of Police.
Citizens of Kano State will be hoping that this partnership with traditional rulers will help the committee achieve its mandate more effectively. In Kano for News Central, Emmanuel Bagudu.
Let's circle back to Plateau State as correspondent Chizoba Nyowe now joins me live from the capital. Chizoba, thanks so much for joining us. Just let me know, I know I said you're in the capital, but where exactly are you at the moment? And what can you tell us about the attack in Bassa local government area at midnight?
Good afternoon, Jamaica. I am back in Jos, the capital city of Plateau State. Just a few minutes ago, I was in Bassa local government area, ZK community in particular, where some unknown gunmen, so to speak, attacked the village midnight on Sunday, leaving not less than 50 people dead, according to the locals who spoke to journalists earlier on. On ground, they saw security operatives from different agencies, the police, the Operation Safe Haven, the Operation Rainbow, and other security agencies. They were still on the ground. We met them there, and they're still there. The mood we saw the locals in is one that is very sad. They are in pain. They are in agony. You know, they are left to mourn their dead. And as if what was done wasn't enough, there's still fears among them that they don't know what will come up next. You know, there are bodies scattered all over the places, yet to be buried. You know, some others are digging graves to bury their own loved ones, while other bodies are still by the roadside. So it's such a very sad situation.
Sad indeed. Have you been able to speak with any official? What do we know about these attacks?
Okay, well, like I said, the security chiefs of different agencies are there on the ground, but could not speak to us. According to them, they are still gathering details. This incident happened in the midnight, so nothing tangible, so to speak, has been put on the table as to what gave rise to this, because according to the locals, there was no attack that you say that calls for a reprisal or retaliation or anything like that, but they were sleeping, and in their sleep, they were caught up with these attackers. Some were burned, some were macheted, some were, so many different inhuman acts were carried out on them, gunshots and all those. And unfortunately, because it was in the night, they couldn't run for their lives. And according to them, they called out for help. But, the terrain, it's about 37 kilometers away from Jos here. So, and from the main town to inside the village where this attack took place, it's quite some distance. So terrain keeps becoming a situation where everyone needs to, come into play to see what can be done. If not, accessing the road to get to these places on time will continue to be an issue. So that's the major problem there.
Now, Chizoba, I have to ask at this point, Boko's local government area just happened, all the communities there, and what happened there. And following that was all stakeholders, including the governors and the security chiefs, saying that there was going to be more concerted efforts insecurity for the people of Plateau. And now this, what gives? Your take.
Please, can you repeat that? I can't hear you.
Yes, I was saying that with what's happened with Boko's community and all the local government area, Boko's local government area and all the communities there, the attacks that happened, and afterwards we saw the governor and all the stakeholders plus the security chiefs come together to say that there will be more concerted efforts when it comes to security for the people of Plateau. Just days after this, we're seeing a midnight attack in this community. What gives? What's the breakdown here?
Well, that's the surprise and the shock that has met everybody. You know, each and every time there's a security stakeholders meeting, there's a meeting with among them as community members to chart the way forward, to know what to do to avert this situation. But surprisingly, these things keep happening. Yesterday, I was in Bokos again with Peter Obi that came to town to see the victims of this incident. I mean, people spoke at length. We had a security stakeholders meeting on Saturday. The governor was with him. We were also there in Bokos, and he spoke to the people and everybody, and everyone was like, okay, this is what going to happen with him. We see what we can do from our own end and from your own end also. Try and keep this. Let's ensure that this is not happening anymore in Plateau State. Unfortunately, sadly enough, just hours later, after yesterday's visit to Bokos, this one has happened. So, I mean, people are just, speechless as to what is giving rise to this and what exactly can be done. People have come here, visited, the Chief of Army Staff was here last week, the National Security Advisor was also here, and also, I mean, there's no serious thing that can be held on to that this is the cost or what should be the way forward.
Okay. All right. Well, I must say thank you so much for taking out the time to come on Chizoba and give us a bit of insight. I can hear from your voice how shaking you are from the community and all that you've seen in Bassa local government area. We wait to see more updates from you, but well done so far. Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we're going to be celebrating the Day of the African Child. And one of them, after the break, stay with us. And you're welcome back. Ahead of the 2025 Day of the African Child, stakeholders are calling on government at all levels to step up efforts in protecting and promoting the welfare of children on the continent. While speaking to journalists in Abuja, they say that more needs to be done beyond passing the Child's Right Act and called for increased funding to implement available policies. They also urged stakeholders across all sectors to work together to ensure that every child, every African child, has access to quality education and a safe environment to thrive.
The theme of this year emphasizes the need for African government and stakeholders to assess and enhance their commitment to allocating resources and implementing policies that uphold and advance the rights and welfare of children. As an organization focused on the legislature, it gives us great pleasure that a bill seeking to establish the Commission for Children Alone is currently being debated at the House of Representatives, which is a good progress. However, it transcends beyond establishing the body. It requires every one of us coming together to ensure that our children have the right to education.
The Day of the African Child commemorative event 2015 will center on advocating policies that will be children inclusive and revisiting the budget policies and actions on education across Nigeria. The event proposed outcomes like an official outcome statement calling all increased education for child welfare funding, legislative commitment to child-sensitive budgeting and policy monitoring, a new phase of multi-sectoral collaboration between governments, CSOs, private sectors, and development agencies, increased inclusion of children in decision-making backed by formal child participation platforms, and direct interventions to over 4,500 school children in the FCT.
Provisional results released by Gabon's Interior Ministry show junta leader Brice Oligui Nguema has claimed a resounding victory in the presidential election, securing 90.35% of the vote. Now, speaking to Jubilant supporters, he called for national unity and collective effort, declaring that there was no happiness without hard work. The election signals a new chapter for Gabon following last year's military coup that toppled longtime President Ali Bongo. Still in the African.
Pendant la campagne électorale, et je vous l'ai dit, il n'y a pas de félicité sans effort. Demain est un jour de travail. Nous devons désormais tourner la page de l'élection présidentielle. Notre pays est en chantier. Je vous invite à reprendre vos activités professionnelles. Dans cette 5e République que nous appelons de tous nos voeux, soyons des bâtisseurs de paix et de justice. Que Dieu vous bénisse. Que Dieu bénisse le Gabon. Je vous remercie pour cette belle victoire.
Advocate Charles Nisi, now representing Muzi Sibiya, who is standing trial for the murder of former Bafana goalkeeper Sunzi Miiwa, has suggested he may withdraw from the case if Judge Aretha refuses to grant more time for preparation. Nisi stepped in following the passing of Sibiya's previous legal counsel. The high-profile trial has already been postponed for over 2 months. The 5 men accused of killing the footballer are expected to return to the dock at the Gauteng High Court on Thursday. Elton Hart, and he's an attorney at the University of Joburg Law Clinic, joins us now from Gauteng to give us more update on this. Elton, thanks so much for joining us. Let's just get started, shall we? Does a request for additional time reflect a lack of preparedness on the part of the defense, or can it be regarded as a valid need to carefully examine complex evidence?
When one looks at the case in totality, there was a large volume of evidence that was laid already, and obviously this morning in court, it's approximately roughly 60,000 pages that Advocate Nisi had to go through between, I think it's the 5th of February up until today, to actually now consult, make sure that he gets his argument and everything. One needs to look at it holistically, and then you'll see it might sound like a long time, but it is not really that long because of the amount of holidays and weekends that goes in between this. And it won't necessarily reflect a lack of preparedness for the trial. But he was asking, and he was meticulously trying to get through the material to actually ensure that accused number 1 is given a proper defense. And I think, yes, the judge was a little bit irritated with him. But I mean, if you want to make sure that you give the person you're representing the best possible chance of putting his case before court, then you must make sure that you go through the records with extra caution and accurately, so that you know exactly what is the version that you're going to put to the state's witnesses.
With a new advocate now representing the accused following the death of his former advocate, what are the legal implications for the defense?
The legal implications, or let us say the legal implications for accused number 1, because obviously now he's got a new representative. And the new representative need to actually try and read the record and understand what was the chain of thought of the late Advocate Ngome Zulu, when he was now actually putting the accused number 1's version, to the state's witnesses to see what was he relying on and what was his angle that he was taking to say, this is my client's defense. Advocate Charles Nisi, who's now the previous was the attorney for accused number 3, or the representative, now takes number 1. He needs to now unravel this and try and see if there's additional questions or evidence that needs to be led, and questions that needs to be put to the state witnesses in order to actually make sure that these client's defense is put to the witnesses of the state, and then he will bring supporting evidence to actually say, I'm rebutting that what the state's witnesses said. So for accused number one, it puts him a little bit in a spot of bother, because there was also hints by Advocate Mnisi, if the court is going to push him in a corner, then he would not take up the brief of representing accused number one. Then it will mean accused number one will be unrepresented, and it will further delay the trial, because we need to get a legal representative for him on board.
And is it reasonable for Advocate Mnisi to request more time to prepare? You know, what considerations should be taken into account when determining if sufficient time has been given for legal representation, given all that's going on with Sibia's defense?
The thing is, like, there's not a close list of what you look at. You need to look at what is happening in the trial. And the one thing that stands out is that Advocate Mnisi was there, involved in the trial from the beginning, from when it started. So he had an opportunity to already cross-examine the witnesses, but he cross-examined the witnesses based on the information that was given to him by accused number 3. So he was working with accused number 3's version, putting certain questions to the state's witnesses and making sure that he covers the basis of accused number 3. And he highlighted that to say that he wasn't paying attention to look at where accused number 1 is implicated in certain things, to say, I'm going to put cross-examination to that. The judge wanted to take him on that route to say, but you did cross-examine all the state's witnesses as if you were like representing. And he said, no, I was doing that in line with my instructions from accused number 3. I cannot now go in based on what I have of accused number 3 and say that it was sufficient for accused number 1, because different things tie different accused to different offenses. So it becomes a little bit complex, and one needs to look at it from that angle and say there cannot be factors, but obviously Section 35 of the Constitution say the accused must be given the benefit of the doubt to get a legal representative. He's entitled to do so. And obviously, I know if the court, if the presiding officer, Judge Rata Mogotleng, is pushing Advocate Mnisi too much, he's not going to take up that matter and then say, then he will be asked to be excused as representative for accused number 1. They can find a different legal representative.
Well, and do you believe justice can still be effectively served in cases that face significant delays? I mean, what are the potential consequences of a prolonged trial such as this, that's quite high profile on the overall judicial process?
It sort of half creates the impression that justice delayed is justice denied, but also, like I spoke to some of your colleagues on News Central on previous occasions, in my view, and this is respectfully my view, the 5 accused that's currently in the dock is not the only person that needs to be in that dock. In order for us to actually get to the truth of this case, they needed to charge also that 7 people that was in the house. I think by now we would have been closer to the answer as to who killed Senzo Mayiwa. And for me, I don't think these 5 guys are the perpetrators. Somebody else did it, but obviously we'll have to wait and see what the National Prosecuting Authority does in actually bringing. But I believe that if they went on that other docket, and I know your colleagues asked me on a previous occasion about 375, and put those accused together with these ones, I think we would have been far down the line than where we currently are.
Well, I must say thank you for taking out the time to join us. Elton joins us all the way live from South Africa, giving us a bit of insight on Sabia, the footballer, or rather the famed footballer, his death. Once again, thank you for joining us. We switch gears from South Africa and this time to Ghana, as Amnesty International is urging the Ghanaian government to take action to protect people accused of witchcraft, particularly older women who face widespread human rights abuses, including murder. Now, despite a 2023 bill criminalizing witchcraft accusations, the law remains unsigned. These accusations, often triggered by personal loss or illness, leave vulnerable individuals, especially those living in poverty, at grave risks. Now, victims are frequently banished to camps run by traditional priests, where they ensure quality conditions until they die. Amnesty is calling for the introduction of a criminal law against witchcraft accusations, stronger protections for victims, and government interventions to ensure access to basic necessities such as food, housing, and clean water. China has sharply criticized the United Kingdom following the passage of new legislation aimed at protecting British steel blast furnace operations currently owned by Chinese firm Jingying Group. Now, the law is designed to prevent the closure of the UK's last facility capable of producing steel from raw materials amid growing concerns over industrial security and national self-sufficiency. Now, British lawmakers have defended the move as being in the national interest. However, China has warned that viewing the trade decisions through a security lens risks damaging investor confidence. Beijing expressed concern over the potential impact on Chinese companies operating in or planning to expand within the UK, suggesting that such actions could chill future business relations.
据我了解，你提到的这家敬业集团是一家中国的民营企业，基于市场化的原则，同英方开展了合作。对于目前英钢经营遇到的困难，双方应本着互利的原则商谈解决。希望英国政府公平公正对待在英投资经营的中资企业，保护其正当合法权益，避免将经贸合作政治化和泛安全化，以免影响中国企业赴英正常投资合作的信心。
Nigeria's Aruna Quadri began his 2025 ITTF World Cup campaign with a 3-1 victory over Benin's Abdul Kader Salifu in the men's singles group stage. Quadri claimed the first two sets 11-6, 11-9 before Salufu, responded by taking the third set 11-6. However, Quadri sailed the win with an 11-8 finish in the fourth set. The result places Quadri second in his group standings, just behind Ukraine's Anton Kvalberg, who is yet to play a match. With more games ahead, Quadri remains in contention for a spot in the knockout rounds, aiming to build on his impressive stat at the prestigious Globals tournament. Kigali, Rwanda will host the 9th edition of the FIBA Under-16 Afro-Basket Championship for the first time, marking a major milestone for the country's basketball scene. The tournament, scheduled between July and September 2025, will bring together Africa's top Under-16 teams, with the top two earning spots at the 2026 FIBA Under-17 World Cup. Egypt leads the all-time winners list with 5 titles, followed by Angola, Mali, and defending champions Guinea. Over the years, the Under-16 Afrobasket has become a premier platform for Africa's emerging basketball talent and a vital step in the pathway to global competition, further strengthening the continent's presence on the international stage. Nasarawa United have been sanctioned by the Nigeria Premier Football League (NPFL) for breaching league's rules during their fixture against Plateau United on Sunday. The club must pay a 1 million naira fine to cover medical expenses and compensation for Plateau United's Vincent Temitope, who sustained bodily harm during the encounter. In addition to the fine, Nasarawa United are required to identify and present evidence of legal persecution against the individual responsible for the assault. The NPFL has given the club 48 hours from the date of the notice to appeal the sanctions. The incident has sparked renewed concerns over player safety and matchday security, prompting the league to enforce strict disciplinary actions. The torches for the Milan Cortina 2026 Winter Olympics and Paralympics have been unveiled simultaneously in Italy and Japan, marking a milestone in the countdown to the Games. Designed by Carlo Ratti Assocati, the light blue Olympic and bronze Paralympic torches are crafted from recycled aluminum and run on eco-friendly bio-LPG fuel. Weighing that's about 1,060 grams, each torch is refillable and reusable up to 10 times. Italian champions Stefania Balmudo and Beatrice Vio, they showcased the torches in Milan, while Martina Caroni and Carolina Costa did the honors in Osaka. The Olympic flame will be lit in Olympia on November 26, with its Italian journey beginning December 6th and culminating at San Siro Stadium on February 6th, 2026. And that's all we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. Tear gas fired as protests for and against emergency rule break out in Rivers State. Scores have been reportedly killed in fresh attacks in Bassa local government area of Plateau State. And we also told you that Gabon's military leader, Brice Oligui Nguema, has won a presidential election with a landslide win. Now, do remember they can send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Go TV channel 23, Star Times channel 274. We're also on Apple TV, or you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Bye for now.